How's it going, YouTube? My name is Sherbert, and we're just a few days away from being able to play the Super People Early Access. Now, it's been about 6 weeks since the closure of the final beta back in August, and there has been some significant changes to the classes, and in my opinion, a lot of meta-breaking changes that are really going to mix up early access gameplay. Now, earlier this morning, Super People did release some patch notes showing exactly what they are changing and what to anticipate for early release. And in this video, we're going to go ahead and break them down step by step and show you exactly what is changing in every single class. So let's jump right into it. Now, before we start, I'll be sure to put the link to the patch notes in the description down below so you guys can check that out. But we are going to go everything piece by piece and kind of break down exactly what they're changing for early access. Now, if you guys want to, Super People also did release this really cool patch notes video that I thought was really well done. So I highly recommend you guys checking that out as well. I thought it was very informative. But we're going to jump right into it, starting with the specialized weapons, sniper rifle and DMR nerfs. So it says some specialized weapons, sniper rifle and DMR skills, upgraded damage have been reduced. The developer said that they performed a little too well in the final beta, so they're reducing the damage output. And it says the upgraded damage was 20%, 30%, 40%. It is now 10, 20, 30%. They just felt that it was a little too powerful for certain gameplay, so they're just going to balance it out. It is also saying that damage increase per level has been reduced and the maximum level has been changed. And it says damage increase per level 0 was 50%. It is now 40%. And it says maximum damage level was 25. It is now 27. And then down below that is when we start noticing the class changes. There's substantial changes to a lot of these classes. Some didn't get touched. Some got either super buffed or really nerfed. So I'd love to hear what you guys' take on this. This is, I think, a really, really good decision and a lot of really good balances. Some I'm kind of like, oh, bub, but some of them are really, really good. Starting with Titan. And it says Undertaker's scan area has been increased to detect the locations of eliminated players from the greater distance. The scan area was 50 meters, 75 meters, 100 meters. It is now 100, 200, 300 meters. I played Titan a handful of times during the final beta. To be honest with you, I never saw any value in Undertaker. It might be better now. It might be better in squads, but I never really saw any skulls on the map. So I'm really indifferent to this change. Below that, it says Bio Bulwark acquired HP has been increased and its cooldown has been reduced. It says acquired HP increase was 10, 15, 20, excuse me. It is now 30, 40, 50. That's pretty substantial. And the cooldown was 1 minute across the board. It is now 60 seconds, 50 seconds, 40 seconds. So Bio Bulwark is going to be incredibly viable. And I think it's going to be really, really strong come early release. That's really good. Titan Age's barrier assault cooldown and its range have been reduced. And it says the cooldown was 30 seconds. It is now 15. That's that shield rush that he does every so often. That cooldown has been drastically reduced. It's been halved. And it says the barrier assault range is slightly reduced, which I think is really good. I know that during final beta, Titan's shield rush thing was a little wonky. I know sometimes you would shield rush and you would either get stopped by a pebble or you would shoot off a cliff. I thought it was a little weird. I think Titan still needs a little bit more of a rework, but I'm curious to see how he's going to be during early access. We'll be sure to play him and get our opinion. Now, down below that, Shotgun Master did receive, I don't want to say a substantial nerf, but Shotgun Master was incredibly strong. And, you know, a lot of followers and a lot of really cool people in Discord were mentioning that Shotgun Master was really just the highlight of tournament play. Every single team that won, or not I don't say every single team, but majority of teams that won during the tournament in the final beta had a Shotgun Master and had a Seeker on their team. And Shotgun Master did receive a pretty substantial nerf, not enough to make him broken. He still can be incredibly strong, but he's not going to be as broken as he was. I've always been a big Shotgun Master advocate. I was like, Shotgun Master is the best, even in closed beta. He's still going to be really, really strong, but he is going to be nerfed just a hair. So it says physical training HP increase value has been reduced. The HP was 10, 15, 20. It is now 5, 10, 15. So that is his green skill tree. Physical training did give you an extra HP bonus. They're just going to nerf that just a hair. Perfectly fine. Jump training level 3 acquired HP after landing has been reduced. It was 30. It is now 20. That's his blue skill tree. So whenever he jumped off a building or whenever he jumped in general, he would get this extra shield. They're just nerfing the shield just a hair again. Down below that, they are going to nerf his ultimate just a little bit. Super jump cooldown has been increased. The cooldown was 20 seconds. It is now 25. It is still incredibly viable. It is still incredibly strong. Shotgun Master is still, in my opinion, S tier class. If we had to put him in a ranking, Shotgun Master is incredibly strong. Even with these nerfs, very, very viable. really okay with this. I was getting a lot, every single game you would run into a Shotgun Master like every other fight. Really happy to see these changes. That's really good. Seeker did receive a substantial, I would say a substantial nerf. There were some things that changed. There were some things they kind of buffed, but I think a really strong, really needed nerf. And it says targets detected by heartbeat sensor will now be a warning message. It says, warning, you have been detected by Seeker's heartbeat sensor. So that's his blue skill. He pulled out a little heartbeat sensor. He could tell you who was where and what. Really, really strong perk. Really interesting that they're going to be able to know when Seeker is heart beating. I think that's really cool. Projectile tracking seal description has been adjusted to be more clear, and damage reduction from explosive throwables have been reduced. It says throwable damage reduced, explosive throwables damage reduced, explosive throwable grenade, upgraded grenade, C4, impact flashbang, explosive throwables damage reduced, was 0, 25, 50. It is now 0, 15, 30. That's interesting. Okay. And it says landing zone scan movement speed has been increased. Landing zone scans movement speed increase have been reduced. So that's, again, his blue skill. You got it every single time you landed with Seeker. It was that giant circle that lets you know exactly who landed where. After you land, you do get that movement speed buff. So they've just decreased that just a hair. Seeker was really fast in game. He was just booking it. So I'm happy to see a movement speed decrease. Molotov trap explosion radius and its max deployable number have been increased. Max deployable number was 235. It is now 246. And it says explosion radius was 345. It is now 468. In my opinion, the Molotov trap is probably the least utilized. No, I would say the projectile tracking was the least utilized. The Molotov trap was cool. There were times when I would throw it and I was hoping for it to explode, but it wouldn't. I hope to see that it's a little bit more sensitive, I guess, when it comes to like throwing them. I remember I'd throw them and all right, explode, and it wouldn't explode, and it was kind of infuriating. So glad to see Seeker is being adjusted. He's not broken. I still think he's a really strong class. His hostiles detected didn't get nerfed. His heartbeat sensor was going to have a little bit of a warning, but that's perfectly doable. Very happy to see that. Seeker is still S, if not borderline A. Really, really strong class still, all in all. Now, Sniper did receive some changes. It says steady shot damage has been increased. So that's his red tier perk. It's that little, it's the chargy one, right? So it's and it says damage increase while aiming down the sights for 1 second was 20, 30, 40. It is now 30, 40, 50. Yeah, that's the red skill perk where it kind of does that really cool chargy thing. That's really strong. Wow, I didn't know that, but that's a lot, actually. And it says airstrike max damage has been reduced. Maximum damage was 100. It is now 80. Perfectly fine. Airstrike was a really strong perk for Sniper. 80 is still really chunky. Airstrike is going to be still very strong. Very happy to see that. Sniper is still going to be a really strong class, A tier if we had to put it in anything. Commando Crawl skill name has been changed. It was Commando Crawl. It is now Fast Crawl. That's when, I believe it was blue. It was the blue skill. When you would just be crouching, you could like little ninja, duck walk. You would walk really fast, be a lot more quieter. I think Commando Crawl was a little confusing for players. It is now Fast Crawl, making it a little easier for newer players. Booby Trap explosion radius and its max deployable number have been increased. Max deployable number was 235. It is now 246. An explosion radius was 345 meters. It is now 468 meters. So your flashbang damage is going to be, or your radius is going to be much, much larger. I think this is a really good perk for Sniper. I think this is a buff. I think he got really, really strong. I don't think he's super meta. I mean, a good Sniper is insane, but I feel like Sniper, he's okay. He's middle of the pack. I'm really happy to see these changes. Nothing game breaking there. Nothing. He's not nerfed in the ground. He's not super buffed. I'm happy to see that. Gas Soldier did receive some increases. It says 10% increase movement speed has been added to Fuel Booster. That's that, when you drink that big jug, you get a lot of HP and now you're just moving a little faster. Smoke Screen's movement speed bonus has been increased. Movement speed increase was 3. It is now 5. And it says movement speed increase in Smoke Screen, 15 to 20%. It is now 20 to 30%. So Gas Soldier, one of the biggest negatives to playing Gas Soldier in the final beta was he just didn't have the mobility. He was a very slow character, very out in the open. His ultimate was really strong. His gas is really strong, but getting to where he needs to be was really hard. And it's nice to see a buff to Gas Soldier's movement. He's going to be a little bit more relative. Don't think he's going to be game breaking. I don't think Gas Soldier is going to be I would say B tier if we have to like put him anywhere. I love Gas Soldier. I wish he was higher, but I think this is a really strong balance to him. Below that, Marine did receive a really good buff. It says C4 IED's minimum damage has been increased. Minimum damage was 10. It is now 40. So that's, you know, the radius of the C4. If you got caught at the very, very tail end of it, you would get only 10 damage. You are now getting 40. So very strong buff to C4. C4 is going to be highly utilized, I feel like, from here on out. In the final beta, Marine did receive another buff to C4, so the cooldown is a lot faster. So he's going to be able to yeet C4 just every fight, just throwing it everywhere. That's a great way to initiate. It's a great way to kind of peel. It's a great way to start fights. Very, very cool there. Love to see that. And it says camaraderie's healing item and energy bar item use speed have been reduced, and ally HP restoration and revive casting speed have been improved. I don't know why that sentence was so hard to read. It says healing item and energy bar item use speed increased to 20%. It is now 15%. And it says ally HP restoration and revive casting speed increased was 20. It is now 70%. Wow, that is a really strong buff. That's insane. I thought Marine was already really good. I thought he was in a really cool place. People were starting to like, he was incredibly slept on during the closed beta. I started using him during the final beta and I was like, wow, oh my gosh, this is really cool. That's really strong. This revive casting speed is really cool. He's gonna be very viable in duos and squads. That's really good. This right here is a really nice buff, but all in all, I think Marine's gonna be in a really good spot come early release. I think he's gonna be highly utilized in a lot of tournament play, in a lot of like higher ranking play. His Fog of War ultimate's really strong. The ability to use suppressors is really strong. C4 has got a really substantial buff. Very happy to see Marine's gonna be in a really good place. I'd still place him about A tier, I guess is where I put him. B, maybe low B, or high B, low A. He's a really good class. Teleporter did receive a little bit of a buff, I would say. It says Commando Crawl's movement speed increase has been reduced. And it says movement speed increase when crouching / crawling was 10, 20, 30%. It is now 10, 15, 20%. Perfectly fine with that. That's perfectly fine. No worries there. Quick fix items use and speed increase have been reduced. And it says capsule energy bar and speed increase was 30%. It is now 20%. Healing item use speed increase was 20%. It is now 15%. So he eats his bars quicker. He takes his pills quicker. Very, very faster skill. Really, really important for early game fights when, you know, seconds matter. Tomahawk homing radius has been reduced, slightly increased, excuse me. Tomahawk's homing radius has been slightly increased. That's like aim assist for your Tomahawk. Homing radius was 1.5 meter. It is now 2.5 meters. They are so adamant about getting this Tomahawk to be useful for teleporter, and I do not get it. I've never liked it. I don't, maybe it's going to be good in the early release. I don't know. I've thrown like 2 Tomahawks. I hate it. I keep wishing that they just rework that skill, but they are receiving a buff. It did get a buff in the final beta. It's receiving another buff for early access. It's weird. It's weird. It feels more like a trick shot kind of thing. I feel like if you're a really good teleporter, if you're a really good player and you're just kind of owning the lobby, throw your little hatchet as much as you want. It's a weird skill for me. I've been a big advocate of like, just rework it, but do whatever you want. And then it says teleporter's cooldown has been reduced, was 120 seconds. It is now 110 seconds. Very good very good buff for teleporter. Incredibly balanced. Don't think he's super relevant in the quote unquote meta. You know, his teleport is very, solo gameplay oriented. It's kind of hard for like duos and squads and things like that. If you're like, all right, let's move high ground. And then he yeets up to there and he leaves his teammates like high and dry. It's good. I don't think teleporter is like game breaking meta good, but he's definitely a strong class. Below that, SWAT did receive again another buff. They're trying to make SWAT more relevant. I know he was barely picked in the tournament. I think I only saw like 1 or 2 people play him. And it says Urban Warfare's movement speed bonus has been increased. Movement speed bonus increase was 2 to 4%. It is now 3 to 5%. And it says the number of grenades given when learning upgraded grenade have been increased. The grenade quantity it was 2. It is now 5. So SWAT is going to just wreak havoc on. I think he's going to be really strong on fighting campers or fighting building. People just chilling and building. He's just going to be able to like throw 5 grenades at once, kind of just decimate the building and then ult in and be really relevant. It says blackout casting speed and cooldown has been reduced. The casting time to launch your ultimate was 3 seconds. It is now 2 seconds. So his ultimate, his blackout is going to be a lot quicker. And it says the cooldown was 90 seconds. It is for early release 80 seconds. So, okay, I'm cool with it. SWAT is getting a buff. Do I think he's super relevant? No. Do I think he's going to be like top picked for tournaments? Probably not. Is he, he's cool. Middle of the road, I would say B tier. He's nothing wrong with that. He's pretty cool. SWAT's pretty fun. Firearms Expert, if we want to talk about like, I think from bottom to top, Firearms Expert, do not sleep on this class. This is one of the coolest classes that I wish had a lot more, face time. It is so much fun to play in the final beta, and he's receiving a very, very strong buff all across the board. He is going to be very relevant in solos, duos, squads. Do not sleep on this character. Very, 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 very cool. Very excited to see him be relevant in the gameplay. We have a really cool Firearms Expert win. I might just like upload for funsies. Really, really cool. So enough like gallivanting, let's jump right into it. So Firearms Expert, his mix and match damage has been increased. Damage increase when equipping weapons of the same class in slots 1 and 2 was 10, 15, 20%. It is now 10, 20, 30%. So what does this mean? That means if you use 2 of the same weapon types, so 2 SMGs, 2 DMRs, 2 ARs, SCAR, M4, AK, G3, Vector, Uzi. If you have 2 of the same ammo or 2 of the same weapon types, you do increase damage. This is insane for Firearms Expert because you can literally walk around with 2 ARs and just decimate the lobby. You won't ever have to reload. It's so much fun. And it says allies are no longer affected by force field speed reduction effect, but instead gain defense bonus. Enemies, however, are still affected by the skill, and its effect has been increased. And it says increases defense against all weapons by 20% for 5 seconds to allies within range. Speed reduction to allies within range was 25%. It is now 0%. Speed reduction to enemies within range was 50%. It is now 60%. That is so strong. So for those of you that didn't know, Firearms Expert was really good. I thought he was really good in solos and duos and squads. He suffered exponentially because when you put his orb in, his giant force field looking thingy, everybody was in the orb was slowed, right? So it was sometimes like kill your teammates because they're trying to run and then they're just like stuck in place or super slow down. Really, really strong buff. Firearms Expert is going to be very, very viable in early access. He's probably going to be the one we're going to be playing the most. Very happy to see these changes. Firearms Expert is going to be incredibly, incredibly strong. Mark my words, he is going to be one of the most top picked classes in early release. Really, really cool. Maybe we'll do maybe our first video will be like a Firearms Expert guide and why you should be playing Firearms Expert because, really good, really, really strong buff there. Okay, enough about Firearms Expert. I'm fan. What do they go? Fan boating? Whatever. It says nuclear did receive, middle of the road buffs, nerfs, kind of a really good balance overall. It says RPG's cooldown has been increased and its minimum and maximum damage have been adjusted. It says the cooldown was 60 seconds, 50 seconds, 40 seconds. It is now 70, 60, 50. Very fine. I thought the RPG in a lot of ways was really broken in the final beta. I'm glad to see a little bit more of a buff or a nerf to the cooldown. And it says the minimum damage was 1. It is now 10. So again, at that splash zone, if you're at the very tail end of the splash radius, you would only have received 1 damage. It is now minimum 10. So whenever you get a hit marker with the RPG, you're at least doing 10 damage. And it says the maximum damage you can do with the RPG. So if you hit him square in the chest, you do 70 damage. It was 80 damage. The RPG is still going to be incredibly viable. It is still going to be incredibly strong. It is just going to receive a little bit more of a balance. It was really, really good in the final beta. A lot of people said that the RPG was basically like Nuclear's ultimate because Nuke's ultimate was so long in between like cooldowns. The RPG was just always up and you could literally just body people. It was really fun. The tactical nuke cooldown has received and tactical nuke's cooldown has been reduced and its minimum/maximum damage has been adjusted. So they lowered the cooldown even more for nuclear, which is going to kind of bum out a lot of the people because everybody in the final beta said nuclear was already really, really strong. Nuclear is going to be more viable, I think, now for tournament play. I think they just kind of want to minimize people camping in buildings. And by reducing the cooldown, nuclear is basically just a street sweeper. It just clears buildings super easily. They did increase the minimum damage. So it was 10. So if you were trying to run away from the ult and you just got like just a little bit out or like just barely outside of circle or like the very, very tail end of the circle, you would only do 10 damage. It is now 50. So it's going to be much deadlier for a wider radius, but not as devastating. So the maximum damage was 180. You could essentially one tap people at early game, or excuse me, at late game. So like really, really late in rotation, you could literally just one tap everybody. It is now only 140. So your chances of survival is a lot greater. But it is still going to be just as effective. Nuclear is going to be a very, very strong class. Again, I would say A/S tier for the quote unquote like meta. Down below that, and lastly, is Driver. Now, Driver did receive a substantial nerf. He was incredibly broken in tournament play, so much so that they disabled people from picking Driver for tournaments. It seems like they finally figured out how to counteract that, and it is the reduction of the monster truck. So it says Monsters Truck's cooldown has been reduced and its condition has been adjusted. So as the cooldown was 180 seconds, it is now 90 seconds. So they halved the cooldown, but on the condition that the monster truck's cooldown now starts either when the vehicle is destroyed or a certain period of time after getting off from the truck. So you have to destroy the monster truck before the timer starts. So if you just like, drive around constantly, the timer will never really start until you destroy that truck. Very, very cool. Really like that. This is Monster Truck now restores fuel to 100% when resummoned. There must have been some sort of thing that when you summon a monster truck, it would give you like the same amount of fuel from your previous monster truck. I don't know. We don't play Driver. That was really interesting, but I'm happy to see this. This is a really, really, really good idea and how to balance what, in my opinion, was a really broken class. Very happy with everything with all in all. I think the changes are incredibly good. I think they're incredibly viable. I think they're really honestly much needed. Seeker was really strong. Shotgun Master was really strong. Firearms Expert was really weak. Marine got a substantial buff. Oh, wait, did they not even add it? Don't sleep on this one. Okay. So they didn't add it, but Strike Force received a huge buff. So I don't know why they didn't put it in the patch notes, but it's in the video down below. Seeker no longer has a inertia lock when he uses his ultimate dash. So I actually wrote down, this is how nerdy I am. I wrote it down in my little notes. And it says Strike Force's landing animation after jumping during the ultimate has been removed. So if you guys are if you guys are Strike Force and you would run and you do a little jumpy thing and you would land, you would get like locked in place. That is no longer the case. You're able to jump, jump, and he is going to be so much more viable for solos, duos, and squads. Strike Force got a substantial buff that they didn't even put in the patch notes. So if you guys are watching this video, you guys are going to have a little bit more of a head start than anybody who just reads the patch notes. But yes, Strike Force did receive a really good buff. He is no longer going to be inertia locked when he jumps. He's still going to be inertia locked when he does his little airwalk and lands, but it's only for the ultimate where he doesn't get that lock. So like I was saying, really, really good updates all in all, really, really good balance changes all in all. Very, very good balancing. I still think Shotgun Master is going to be really relevant. He's going to be very strong. Seeker, probably not picked as much, but he's still going to be really strong. Hostiles Detected is, in my opinion, one of the best / broken perks in the game. Very, very good for newer players. Very, very good for the Giga Chads that want to destroy the lobby. Sniper, pretty good buff. I'm happy with everything there. Gas Soldier received a really good buff. Neither of these two are like top of the list in terms of, meta, but they're both really strong classes. Marine got a really good buff. You're going to see a lot more Marines in tournaments. He's very, very viable now. Teleporter, I'm happy with it. Again, I would say Marine would be A tier, Teleporter B. SWAT is good. I still don't think he's going to be really relevant in the meta. So I would say he's still about B tier, C tier. Firearms Expert, S. Easily S tier. You guys are going to be really impressed at how good Firearms Expert is going to be come early release. I'm very, very, very happy with this. We'll most likely end up playing Firearms Expert the most. It is so much fun to ult people. Really, really happy with this. S tier, 100%. Not even going to debate it. S tier. Nuclear, still A or S. RPG received a little bit of a nerf. Tactical Nuke received a little bit of a nerf / buff. Still going to be very strong. Still going to be very viable. S tier, especially for tournament play. Really, really strong there. Driver received a nerf. I don't think we really saw very many drivers win any tournaments, so I don't even know where to put him in the meta. Maybe B tier. I feel like there's more really bad drivers than there are really good drivers out there, just like in casuals. So I would say B tier, or maybe A tier, just for that mobility, A tier. But really, really strong classes overall. I'd love to get you guys' opinion, what you guys think will be the meta for early access. I'd love to get you guys' take on some of these nerfs or buffs. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I will also be streaming right here on YouTube. I stream almost every single day. And come early access, I will be streaming like 10 hours a day for the next 9 months. So I'd love to have you guys come in and check me out. If not, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you on Tuesday for the early access of Super People. It's going to be very, very fun. If there's any videos you guys want me to make, let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to make them for you. Any tips, tricks, or guides, I can do it. So let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, bye.